Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about one thing that separates people who build real success from those who just tread water and get nowhere, and that is owning assets. With rent eating half of your paycheck and your wages not growing fast enough, even with inflation cooling, now it's at about 2.4%, you're still going to be struggling and losing value every single year. The median net worth for people in their 20s is about $6,600, which is really not that much, and it definitely shows how much the younger generation is struggling right now. And I have a video coming out on that soon. And we're not going to be talking about like fancy cars or watches or any luxury bags or anything like that. I'm talking about productive assets here, like stocks, index funds, ETFs, real estate. Even if you're only in a small stake, it still is a good asset to have. Dividends, literally anything that puts your money to work instead of just letting it sit in your bank account and lose value every single year. In 2026, if you're not owning assets, you're basically playing defense in a game that's rigged for you to lose, even though you're told you're doing the right thing by saving. With that being said, let me get started on why this is a non-negotiable for me and why it should be a non-negotiable for you to build up assets, and how you can be a part-time investor like me without having to have a bunch of money or a fancy job that'll pay you six figures plus. The best way I've been able to convey this point is if you imagine back 50 years ago in 1976, if you had $10,000, your money would be worth so much less, 5.72 times less, because nowadays $57,000 is equal to that same $10,000. But if you had invested it into something like the S&P 500, then that same $10,000 would be worth approximately $2.6 million for a 26,000% gain with your dividends reinvested, which beats out the loss of value. This is why it's so important to own assets, because whether it's stocks or real estate, you will see a massive gain over the long run. A lot of people give hate to the older generation and boomers for buying their house for a few raisins and maybe a quarter, but they made the right decision buying that asset and holding it this long, because now it's appreciated so much that it's pricing out the young people. And while that may suck for us, we can still follow that same formula to build wealth for ourselves. All this to say, if you're holding all of your money in cash or you're paying debt down, you're not building any wealth, you're just surviving. And people who own assets will see their net worth compound, and I promise you that. Unless, of course, you have like 10,000 fart coin, then you might not see your wealth grow. Think about the ultra wealthy. Do you think they're just sitting in cash all the time? Obviously not. They're loading up on income generating assets such as real estate, businesses, dividend providing assets, because all of those things provide cash flow, diversification, and protection against uncertainties when there's a lot of volatility right now. This next statistic is essentially the reason this video exists. The top 1% of wealth in American households hold over 50% of stocks, and the bottom 50% own 1% of stock. So people will go on about how we should eat the rich, but maybe you should watch what the rich are doing and implement that into your own version of investing and saving. Think about it. Money sitting still loses value, but assets grow and generate income. So if you're barely holding on with just one revenue stream, then having assets like dividend stocks or ETFs or peer-to-peer lending can offer some cash flow, and you can reinvest that cash flow until you have more income. If you're in your 20s or 30s right now, you're in your prime investing age and you have decades to stack. So $200 a month in an index fund at an 8% return like the S&P 500, by your 40s, that's serious money growing, and you don't really have to put much effort into it. Now, a no excuse action plan that you can take is opening up a Roth IRA. I will do a video on the Roth IRA soon, and you can open that up through Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, any of those, or just open a brokerage account. Put $50 to $100 a month into it. Every time you get paid, set up an auto investment. It will take it out. Just pretend like that money doesn't exist. Do it into like VTI or VOO, just the general market S&P 500 fund, and just let it compound. I am bullish on the U.S. economy long term, but if you're a little skeptical or you just don't want as much exposure to the top 500 U.S. companies, you could go into something like VT. It is 60% U.S. equities, but it's also general world stock market, so it's based on market cap, and you get more exposure to places like Canada or Asia or Japan. This is just a great investment overall. Obviously not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, but I personally am buying VT at a rapid rate right now with the market declining. Once you set up your recurring investment into whatever ETF you prefer, the next step is to prioritize your debt and kill all of your high interest debt first, and then keep redirecting that payment that you would have had into your assets. Building into income generating ETFs or dividend ETFs is also a good idea, or REITs. I personally have SEHD and I keep stacking that in my Roth IRA, and I think it's great for dividends and growth, even though it hasn't been growing as much, but recently it has picked up a little bit. House hacking, when possible, is also a great way to free up cash flow, and you can do this either by renting out rooms in a house you own or getting roommates and splitting rent with them. Either way, house hacking to free up some cash flow is a great idea. Automating everything, like I said, is perfect. Set it and forget it. Just don't worry about it. And tracking your net worth. Now, this is really important. You need to track your net worth, I would say at least monthly. You could do quarterly. I don't think you need to go to the extreme and say, oh, I need to track it daily or weekly. But I think monthly is a good spot. I personally track mine twice a month, once on the 1st and once on the 15th. But I've mainly been doing this because I've been trying to bring my net worth into the positive, because I had gotten a lot of debt from a car loan and student loans. You can use free tools for this. I think you could just toss net worth tracker free in your Google browser or whatever you use, and you'll be able to find stuff. I personally just use Google Sheets, and I have one page for assets, one page for liabilities, and then it'll show me my net worth. It'll show me graphs on how it's growing or retracting, and I think it's just a great way to use it. But pick whatever you like, whatever you're comfortable with. Just make sure you're tracking your net worth so you can see the progress. It'll motivate you to keep going. You are not behind if you start now. Most people your age are out doing whatever they want and they have nothing invested, so beating the median and owning assets consistently is the best thing you could do for yourself. The bottom line is, success in 2026 is not about earning more, it's about owning what earns for you. Assets turn into wealth over time. If you resonate at all with this video, please like it and drop a sub down below. I'm going to be dropping more videos, and I would like any comments with any, recommendations for what I could post next. Just going to keep posting videos about life, stocks, investing, all types of things. So just let me know, and I will see you all later. You got this. Bye.